Hi, I'm here with Jeff Hall of the USGA, and Jeff, we are here at historic Pinehurst number 2. This is quite a venue, and it's going to be a great site for the US Open. Tell me a little bit about what makes Pinehurst specifically so attractive as a venue for the USGA.
Yeah, it's really exciting to come back for number 4. It's a complete examination. Now, some will say with the restoration that took place versus the first 2 US Opens, well, driving the ball's not as much of a premium. Well, maybe. The fairways are wider than they were in 99 and 05, but from tee to green, and especially around the greens, this golf course tests the players. It gives them choices. And that, to me, is really one of the things, even for the best players in the world, when you've got choices and you're standing over that shot and you're wondering, did I make the right choice with this club selection to play this little bump and run, or should I be putting it? Should I go upstairs with a sand wedge? Those choices, the human element of golf, pretty neat here at Pinehurst.
So from an agronomy standpoint, the look of this golf course is very unique. It fits in with the land extremely well. This doesn't look, for example, like many of the courses where you tend to go up in the Northeast, for example, like Wingfoot. It doesn't look like Oakmont. What does the USGA do, and how do you work with the resort and the folks here at Pinehurst to set up the golf course to really show off its best self?
Well, I think that's really one of the attractive things of coming to Pinehurst. It is different, and yet it still tests the best players in the world. For sure. And one of the wonderful things about the U.S. Open, going to these iconic venues around our country, it is a different look, and that's perfectly okay. All Bermuda now, that's one of the real big changes from 2014. Bermuda grass putting greens. I don't think we've played a U.S. Open on Bermuda grass since Champions. And I think that was 1950.
Long time ago.
A long time ago, and certainly not this type of Bermuda. They putt beautifully, but no contour changes per se. Really not much different from 2014. The putting green surface is the big feature.
And so tell me what you learned from 2014, when we obviously had the U.S. Open for the men and the women played back-to-back weeks here at one venue. It was the first time we've done that. What did you learn, and what was the big takeaway for the USGA in preparing for this championship? What did you learn from 2014?
Well, a few things from setup, but one thing that I've just recently been working on the last couple of weeks was pace of play. That is an element of what we've got to do. And just having that real data from 2014 and providing that to our data scientists who could examine it and run it through their supercomputers and help us dial in what we believe to be the right pace of play. So that was really big. We didn't have the ball dispersion technology for 2014. So, that doesn't help us quite as much as, for instance, when we go back to Oakmont next year, we have that from 2016. But we've got a lot of good data based on what we saw. We did track club selection from 2014 to try to help with the Women's Open, back to back. So we've got good information, and I've been grinding on watching the 2014 U.S. Open on my computer, just looking at things. So another thing I think that might be a bit different this year, listen, Pinehurst plays best when it's firm and fast.
Absolutely. You
could say 2014, it might have been a little too firm at times. And it looked, it was a little dusty we expect it to still get a little off color, putting greens and the fairways, but maybe not start there as early in the week.
Explain to people who may not be aware, there's so many times we look at a golf course and think it needs to be this uniform green color. It needs to be look to some degree almost artificial. That's not what you get at Pinehurst, and that is by design. Talk to people about why that is.
Well, one of the principal reasons is they've got now single row irrigation.
What is that?
So all the sprinkler heads are down the middle of the fairway. So there are parts of the edges that don't get irrigated, and they're going to get off color, which is fine for the Bermuda grass. It doesn't mind that.
It thrives in heat.
It doesn't mind that in the least. Whereas other venues we go to kind of have more of a wall-to-wall irrigation, where every inch of the playing area is irrigated. So, and that was a great story to tell in 2014. It's still a great story because water is a big issue in the game. So they don't use as much water here now to maintain the golf course, but that's the natural setting of Pinehurst. The game is intended to be played on the ground. So that's what we'll see when we get out there.
Cool. So it looks like it's going to be a really, really challenging venue. What's the one last thing you want people to take away and get ready basically for the U.S. Open as they're getting ready to watch? What's the one thing that they should be aware of for here at Pinehurst?
I think it's the putting green complexes. That's really the defense of the golf course, and it'll be fascinating to watch maybe two balls in the same group finish in the same area, and watch two of the world's best players take different approach with this from the same position on the golf course.
As always, it should be fascinating stuff here at Pinehurst.